This week on the 77% Street Debate.
No electricity, no water, no source of entertainment. As a graduate, when I go back to the village, what do you expect me to do?
When I went there, established the workshop, for over 3 months, I didn't get even $10.
Look, it is just a perception. It is because someone thinks that when you are in the village, you can't make it.
I will go to America, I will go to Europe, I will find job there, no matter what, even if I die.
This week, the 77% is in Tamale, and that's in the north of Ghana. Here, you're guaranteed temperatures that are above 30 degrees Celsius, but also a huge number of young people leaving this town. And we want to find out why and how Africa can learn from the lessons here. And to begin with, I'm going to speak to a social analyst here as part of our panel, just to give us an overview of the situation in Tamale. Is it a problem, young people leaving?
It's a serious problem. I can attest to the facts. Between 2000 and 2010, the population increase in Accra was 40.72%. And this was attributed to rural-urban migration from the north to the south. So we can say that, of course, people here are really moving.
Okay, Dr. Majid, to what extent does education or lack of it have to do with this dramatic migration from rural areas to urban areas?
The government of Ghana in the past and in the present have deliberately kept especially the tertiary institutions in the major cities. It's a deliberate policy, but government cannot give these institutions to every community. And so this is compelling people. This is a push factor. It's pushing people to the urban centers to educate.
It is. You see, when we talk of this migration, sometimes there's that tendency to put the blame on government. But I think we all have to share part of the blame. Look, it will interest you to know that some of this urban-rural migration,
Urban, yeah.
It is just a perception. It is a perception. It is because someone thinks that when you are in the village, you can't make it. But, I mean, why would you leave your comfort zone and go to the unknown?
But we've just heard
No water, no electricity, no water, no source of entertainment. As a graduate, I come. Then you say I should, because in the way you go to the rural area, most of us are farmers, and we are mostly subsistence farmers. There is no commercial farming. As a graduate, when I go back to the village, what do you expect me to do? My community is waiting for me to feed. My family is there, and then I'm going to feed on the small farm that my parents are doing. But it is the role of the government to provide these social amenities. Electricity is not the duty of the youth. Water is not the duty of the youth. The roads are not the duty of the youth. It's the duty of the government. And if these things are there, I don't think the youth would migrate.
Okay, I'm going to come back to the commander in just a short while. Does this sound like it's your reality? That it's just your mindset?
It's very different from what I'm thinking about. I've been born and bred in a local village called Dalang in the Kumbungu district. I've been there all my life until I finished my secondary education. You know what? When I came to Tamale and learned the job for about 5 years and I was not making it, I went to Libya and stayed there for about 4 or 5 years and came back. Look, when I went to Libya, I learned electricals. I became an auto electrician. When I came back here, my people over there called me to come and establish my workshop there. When I went there, established the workshop, for over 3 months, I didn't get even $10. There is an organization called AFDOM. I don't know the full meaning of that, but I think this man, I know, I've ever been to his office.
Yes.
They gave me the electrical machine of which I used to charge the batteries. And currently, that is what I'm dependent on. And the pennies or the cents that I'm taking today now, I'm gradually packing them. And I'll get the way and I'll go back. Before when I go back there, all die be die. If I get into the sea and die, it is the same like you get a bus here or you take a tour something and you go into Accra, then you have a crash and you die. If you die in a car accident, it's die. If you die in the high seas there, you die. If you die on the desert there, I don't fear desert until my government provides something for me. And you know what? In Africa, I can speak of Ghana. Anytime there is a political party in Ghana or in governance, what they do is they will bring out the programs, all right, but you go there and they ask you of your certificate. If you don't have, so if I don't have certificate, I won't eat. Must living be limited to only people who are educated?
Okay.
So what if my father died and I drop out from education? Nobody take care of me. Does that mean I should go and be chopping grass because I'm not educated? Why can I come to office and ask for common labor distance and you are telling me to go and bring my certificate? If I have certificate, I would have been going to look for the white jobs there. I will go to America, I will go to Europe. I will find job there, no matter what, even if I die.
Umar is arguing that where has it become the norm that you have to have an education in order to get government services?
Yes, I don't think that government service is one of the poorly paid sectors in Ghana. So the youth have to make their mind that they can make it outside the government sector. Yeah. I know a lot of people who are making it in agriculture. What the government has failed is that it has not improved the livelihood systems of the rural people. They are into farming. Nowadays, because of the growth of urban areas, many farmlands are taken over for residential and construction purposes. So these farmers have to go far away and farm in the hinterlands. They don't have the capital. If you go there, they don't have the machinery. So how are they going to do the farming?
Well, let's ask the farmer here. How are you farming? Is it difficult for you given all the challenges that we're articulating?
Yes, it is. It is in the sense that the population growth in Ghana, if you consider it, day in and day out, we are building houses. We are construction roads. So the farmlands have been taken by those distances. So you have to go to the far places. And if you don't have the capital to go and do so, you have to first go and clear the land, take the farm equipment and go and do. Where will you get it if you don't have the money? So it's very difficult for the farmer in that sense.
Okay, let me come to Mr. Aminu here, because I know that you had left this region. You had actually left the country and you decided to come back. And now you're urging young people to stay here. What created that shift for you?
Personally, I took the idea to travel outside. I left Ghana through the desert to Libya, through the high sea to Italy, and where I suffered a lot. On the desert, I lost many of my colleagues, and on the high sea, I lost many of my colleagues. I was fortunate that I didn't die. Now, God saved me, and finally, I was deported back to Ghana. So when I came, I said to myself, even my enemy, I wouldn't allow to pass through what I went through. We are currently embarking on a sustained educational campaign program, trying to educate the general public, especially the youth, to understand the traumas that migrants are going through. If they clearly understand the traumas that they are going through, I think it's one of the measures that will reduce the rate or the trend at which these people are going through.
Okay, and of course, one of the situations that happens from this desperation we've heard here is families actually abandoning other members of their families. And Nana, I know that you're very familiar with this. I'll come back to you, Commander. I know you want to really tell me a point, but Nana, what does this mean for young girls and women when they are in desperate situations in rural areas and then they have nothing to do?
When they have nothing to do, they have to move to the urban areas. That's when they move to the urban areas, they see that their peer groups are living a life that they can't live. So they have to go into a deviant job, that's prostitution, theft, and all those things to be able to live that life they want to live.
Let's get back to the commander.
I just want to address one issue. Some of our brothers who live from the north and the rural areas and go to the south, sometimes when they get money, instead of them to help and put up the factories and put up the jobs in the villages so that their brothers, their unfortunate brothers, will get the chance to stay, they will rather put up some of this infrastructure in the same cities. What are you doing? Hold on. What are you doing? You are therefore increasing it.
Okay.
But I think it is high time we say enough is enough. We have to build our rural communities ourselves. When we go to the rural areas, we go and help those who are already there, those who hail from the urban areas. And it is high time that we admit that, look, let me help my rural folks. The money that I make in the city, let me bring it to the village, build a factory, do some enterprise, employ 2 or 3 of my rural folks. And by so doing, we are going to decrease the menace of rural-urban migration.
So the commander is saying enough is enough. Stop blaming the government all the time. It's time that the people in the rural areas start giving back and investing to the rural areas. Clement, are you nodding because you're in agreement?
Yes, somehow, because I think that is a governance issue too. If we involve the local people in the governance system of our country, I believe that things will change. We've been talking about opportunities and resources. Yes, somebody mentioned that government is coming with policies and programs. But these programs and policies, there's nothing like transparency in its implementation or accountability. If the local people are involved, then they will know who and who are qualified to benefit from whatever program or policies. But this is the case, they are not involved. Somebody takes the decision somewhere and they politicize the whole kind of programs and then the policies, said that the real beneficiaries, they don't get it. But different people who are already well-to-do have access to some of these opportunities. It is not the youth or the people to provide electricity or water, safe drinking water in their communities. Their own is to pay taxes. And when they pay the taxes, there is somebody who should make sure that the taxes are working for the people to get the water and the electricity. All these things are not happening. There are communities you go on paper, they have electricity, but when you go to the communities, no electricity. How do we look at all these things? If the youth are involved in the governance process, allowing them to be part of the decision-making process, then they can also monitor some of these things, and then that will bring the amenities that we need to stabilize our people to stay back in their communities.
All right. I mean, why aren't you demanding more accountability from your leaders then? Why aren't you saying we want to be involved, we're here, we're ready?
Yeah, because we want the right thing to be done. Because if you look, let me just give you an example. In every district assembly, there's something we call the district assembly common fund. You understand that? If you go to every district, with this district assembly common fund, if you look at the budget very well, there is a portion of the common fund that is supposed to be used for the empowerment of the young people in the rural communities. And if you look at the budget too, there are some portion of the budget which is supposed to be used for the empowerment of the youth in agric, empowerment of the youth in skill acquisition and all that. But what happens? What do we see? Sometimes this money ends up in the pockets of people because those who are supposed to be the beneficiaries of this particular program or this particular intervention are not involved. You understand that? Yeah. It ends up in the pocket of only few people or few officials. This is what is happening sometimes. So it will be very good for those people or the beneficiaries, or I mean the youth, to be part of decision making and also part of implementation when it comes to the program.
Okay, so as the citizens of this nation, why aren't you demanding more from your leaders?
As youth, I think it is our responsibility to hold our duty bearers accountable to these policies. But it also falls on the duty bearer also to give us the environment to be able to engage with them. In our current situation, from the district assembly to the national level, it's not easy for youth groups to easily go demanding for information on policies that are being implemented. Currently, we have passed the Right to Information Bill. It has not yet started working. But even before then, it's not easy for youth to go to the district assembly to ask for information about policies and programs. So all the responsibility still falls on the government. The policies are for us. So you need to make sure that you implement it to benefit us. And if it doesn't benefit us and we want to give you feedback, there should be that platform, a favorable one, for us to be able to engage you, to tell you these are the challenges because we are implementing it. It is to our benefit. We know the challenges. Then you can't restructure to benefit that. But currently, the platform is not there for youth to be able to engage favorably with duty bearers to make sure that policies benefit the youth.
Okay, yeah. Let me come back to Umar for 1 second. Yes, go on.
Yeah, you know what? When you go to the local government offices, you see that they have cleaners in the assemblies. They have what and what and what. There is something we call Zoom Lion. There is an organization, Zoom Lion, in Ghana. The clearing of all the rubbish and other things inside town, both liquid and solid waste, have been given to them as contract. We still have people in the assemblies which they pay for the work they are not doing. Go to my area, that is Lamashago, of where I'm currently staying. Go and visit my public toilets and see the kind of rubbish and things that are piled up there. You see, I don't have faith in the governance of in my government. It will be very difficult for you to establish that kind of faith in me. You see, anytime, as I said, there is a political party in governance, what they only do is to serve their foot soldiers and their distant supporters.
Let me come back to the commander because it's interesting. You're saying you're not in government, you're not a politician, but you've been tasked with implementing work that's been organized by government.
Let me tell you something.
Tell me.
Once again, I have that painful duty to talk as if I'm a politician. I am not a politician. Please, it is high time, before I continue, let us remind ourselves. The topic for this discussion is how to tackle rural urban migration in Africa.
Yeah.
let's not reduce the discussion to governance and politics and that sort of thing.
But surely,
Let me tell you something.
surely,
Let me give you
Commander.
one example.
Allow me please to moderate, because the points are that governance and politics are affecting and are part and parcel of the problem.
Well said. Let me tell you, I must admit that it is the duty of government to provide basic amenities like water, electricity, roads, and all that. In some areas, we have these things, and you see people still living the rural areas where they can even get food at cheaper prices. Because food in the village or in the rural area is much, much cheaper than in the urban area.
But what
And
good?
yet,
What,
the same salary, they will live there.
Mr. Commander, what good is cheap food if you do not have access to education, water, electricity?
Yeah,
You know?
I am talking of someone who already has education and he's working for the same salary, whether he's in the rural area or he's in the urban area. I'm talking about a University of Cape Coast graduate teacher or a Set A teacher or a post-secondary teacher. The salary is the same. I want someone to tell me that it is different. It is the same.
So what's the point you're
you,
making?
where would you leave the rural area where accommodation is relatively cheaper, where food is relatively cheaper, and you will go and the city in the first place, acquiring accommodation there is very difficult.
Okay.
So if food is relatively cheaper and you are paid, will you stay at a place where when your wife is in labor, it will be difficult for you to access health? You have to carry her on the tricycle and carry her for more than 100 kilometers to get access to a skilled delivery. When you are in the city, you are paid the same salary, and it will take you just 15 minutes to carry your wife from your house to a hospital to get specialized care. In Ghana right now, if I want to be a medical doctor, the nearest place for me now is in Tamale. So if I'm coming from far upper east, somewhere around Zebila, somewhere around Garu in the north, and I want to be a doctor, I must migrate to Tamale. And if I finish my schooling in Tamale and I want to be transferred, you will transfer me because you want me to serve the people of the north. But I get to a hospital where I have no access to a quarters. So how do I stay? And it is said that the construction of our roads are done to facilitate rural-urban migration. Because it is easy for me right now to leave Tamale and get to Kumasi than it is for me to leave Tamale and get to Gushegu, which is near, but the road is very bad. So why won't I migrate?
Okay.
Edith, what does she think of the teacher who taught her in the village? Someone taught you in the village. He is also a human being. No, let us be very factual.
But he did that
It is
under
because
very
you
hard
don't
conditions.
want. It is because you don't want to accept the reality. Somebody in the village taught you. Today you have come to the city to acquire tertiary or whatever. What do you think of that person? Is he not a human being in the village?
Edith,
Is that person not a human being in the village?
I'm not saying we shouldn't go back. We should go back to serve. But the environment should be conducive. Right now, if you go to the village, free SHS, and so enrollments has increased. But students are lying on their tummy and writing, no desks. Classroom roofs have been ripped off. I'm not saying we shouldn't go back, but when a teacher agrees or a doctor agrees to serve somewhere in the northern part or in the rural area, the environment should be conducive for the person to stay.
If you love your
Right
country,
now,
you
Edith,
stay.
if
If
you
you
are
love your
pregnant,
country, that's
if
sense
you are
of
pregnant
patriotism.
and you go to a hospital, the first doctor that you would meet in your first trimester, you wouldn't meet that same doctor in your third trimester. The doctor would go. So when you are pregnant, before in the period of your pregnancy, from beginning to end, you would have met like 3 doctors.
Okay, so we've obviously addressed these problems, and there are many. But now I want to figure out how we move past them. Yeah? How do we make sure that that doctor stays? How do we make sure that that teacher not only stays, but is happy to stay?
Providing service to communities is very good, but I think our focus should be on the advocacy now. Let's build the capacities of the people in the community so that they can have the power to engage the duty bearers to get what they want. Because you can't be in that community forever. And once you can't be in that community forever, it's not only good that you go and provide the water, electricity or whatever and you leave it. But if you build the capacity of the people, they themselves will know that we are paying taxes, and so we should demand what is ours. And that will be a sustainable thing. So I think that is the way to go.
Umar, what is going to make you be happy in a village? What would it take?
Yeah, I'm not so wicked enough to leave my 70-year-old mother and 3 of my siblings and go anywhere and live without them. I need to be gainfully employed. Currently, I am an auto electrician. If the state is interested in bringing up youth and supporting youth, I'll be very happy to stay because I have my own shop. If there is an opportunity of which I can access loan, whether from the bank or from the governance sector, of which I can use to develop my shop, why not? I'll be very happy to stay in my country, rather to be sleeping on the desert for 3, 5, 6 days without water and food sometimes.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
So the government of our countries or the leaders must sit up and realize that though education is the key to the success of the country, there are people who are downtrodden. There are another of unfortunate ones who will by all means be dropped out. Why? How can we go up with them?
All right, so gainful employment for you is a big one. What is, for you, the major thing that needs to happen in order to stop the flows of people from rural to urban areas?
We must change our attitude. That is the most important thing. You know, there are a lot of people who had the opportunity at the rural communities, but yet they still turn down those opportunities and try to migrate outside. Why? You understand that? We must change our attitude. There is my officer here said the perception. I think perception is also one of the most important things. Some people think at the rural communities, what they don't have at the rural community, when they get to places like Accra, Kumasi, or urban areas, they will have those things. But ask yourself, what condition are you going to be? You as a parent, once you have allowed, or once you are allowing your daughter to leave, ask yourself, in the night, you take your bath, take your supper, and go to sleep. You know where you are sleeping. Where is your daughter sleeping? You understand that? Yeah. These are some of the questions that you must ask yourself.
Okay.
Where is she sleeping? So we should try to discourage that tradition. That's one. To discourage, even if we are going to encourage it, but at least aunties should be made to understand that they should allow those girls to go to school.
All right, so we're talking about families taking responsibility for this situation as well. Commander, I want to come to you, please.
I have a three-pronged approach to the solution. One, government, one, the individual, the migrants, and then the civil society. The problem we have in Africa is the mindset. We need a proper reorientation of our minds. You will see an African who drink ice water and put the sachet on the ground and he doesn't feel guilty. Elsewhere, you will feel guilty. So we have to reorient our minds and believe that we can make it even where we are. And if we reorient our minds and believe that we can make it, we will stay. And this is tied to the civil society.
Okay, and finally I want to get to Jarat. You had a lot of points and I want to know how we can move beyond these points so that in 2025 we're not talking about the same issues.
And if I'm a social worker, I work with Rise Ghana. As in Rise Ghana, what we do to curb rural urban migration is that even in the absence of all the social amenities, we want to tell the youth that all hope is not lost. They said the key to success is education. So we need to be serious with our education. We need to learn. They said that you get paid more when you use the brain than when you use your bare hands. And to use your brain, you need to educate yourself to the higher level. So in the absence of all these social amenities, we are encouraging the youth to be serious, get enrolled, stay in school, get serious, pass your exams, and move ahead with your education. But to the government, please, the redistribution of our resources, it should be fair. Give to the rural area what they deserve and the urban area what they deserve. And definitely, if we have all the social amenities in the rural area, the people will not move to the urban areas.
Well, I think again, what is left out, but paramount in our area is the entrepreneurship. Sometimes some people, when they are trained, they are able to go back and set up themselves. Or even better still, the stakeholders can set them up, the NGOs and the rest. When I was having an NGO, we had a particular platform. We just picked 2 people from the districts, but from Accra. And I still have evidence of one guy in Wulesi, where I'm coming from. He was brought here, trained, he's gone back, he was given just 200 Ghana cedis. Today he has a big shop because he knows how to do the wiring. He was trained on electricity. Yeah. He knows how to do the wiring. So he does the wiring, comes and feeds the money into the store. And today the store is the biggest electrical store. So entrepreneurship is equally very important. We can train as much as we can. Some will survive, even in businesses.
Yeah.
In America, they said out of about 16, sometimes only 5 survive. And so if we train 100 and even 40 are able to be in business, we have done a good job. So that we can do that continuously. And after some time, we are able to make people stay, or we are able to bring people who are there. But let's not forget the fact that we cannot stop rural-urban migration because some of them are just very important.
Okay. I think that's a great place to end. We've heard it here that the road ahead is long and arduous, but it's not insurmountable. It's been a very heated debate to match the very hot temperatures here in Tamale, but thank you for watching.